show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Reese is all over.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey now! What's going on, all you scallywags? It's Roland's favorite day. It's Hump Day. Right here on Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I got an interesting email today that I guess people do not know how to get in touch with me at WTIC. I've got to remedy that. So they will send an email to the brand manager or my boss, and then my boss will forward it to me. So I got an email from an organization that has invited me to their facility. I guess I couldn't tell you why they wish to do it other than to debunk what they call myths about what they do. I don't have, and I wish people didn't take things so personal. How do I put this? So let's use recycling because that's what this is associated with. So if I'm talking about recycling in the United States and someone's listening to the program and they take a personal offense to what I'm discussing about recycling, they may be missing the point here. And if they are listening now, and I'm still taking them up on their offer because I think there's a genuine opportunity here for me and for this organization. I won't even reveal who they are until I talk to them first, and then I can say, hey, can I talk about it on the air? And then they'll tell me yes, hopefully. But there is a saying that is on this program. Now, I know you can't listen all the time. We've got our core listeners. They're here 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday. They are riders, as I like to call them, and my wife and my now adopted son likes to call them. They are racist to the core. But if you don't listen to the show, you're going to miss certain things that I say. Here's one of those racisms, as we call them. If it don't apply, let it fly. And I think in this case, someone heard me talking about the subject of recycling and took it personally. But if you are not who I might be talking about or whom I'm discussing, and you are the outlier, don't take it personal. It isn't about you. If you're doing the job that is required of you as far as recycling is concerned, God bless you. We applaud you here. But don't take it personal. You know, and I know that you know, that there is an overall issue in the recycling business. And it is a business. And when it becomes a business and not a mission, which is what it's supposed to be, a mission, not a business, people cut corners. Have they? Yes, because it's not what? Profitable. They all got into it at the beginning and they said, it's a labor of love. We can make money off this. It happens every time. It happens every time. I'm sorry. But again, if you're not that person, don't take it personal. That's all. And I can't wait to meet up with you. It's just what? I think we're looking at a little more than 10 days. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's one of my first orders of business. That's right, Mark. You are a racist. That's right. You're not racist. You're a racist. You tell them I told you so. Now, we got to get to a serious problem here. Last night, as I'm getting myself prepared for the evening, we've got I have to watch a movie because we have a guest coming on Friday. Larissa Dolly is going to be here on the program on Friday, where we make it a little lighthearted. I like to do some interviews as we had Melba Moore. Next week, we're going to have Cool from Cool and the Gang on the program. Sometimes I like to lighten it up. But at the end of the day, when I'm getting all my stuff together, getting ready for today's show last night, I'm going to do some tidbits and stuff because the news can change. It doesn't matter how much I prepare. Somebody's going to throw a wrench in it all. And as I'm preparing, I'm saying, get some info on Jacqueline Mimi Torres's case. See if there's been any updates. And there were plenty. And I'd like to talk about them. I'd like to talk about those updates. I'd like to talk about a lot of people who were involved. Because yesterday, I was pretty harsh on a lot of individuals. Family members, friends, neighbors, the people who showed up at that courtroom at the arraignment of her mother, her aunt, and the boyfriend. And according to the Hartford Courant, there were a lot of people shouting expletives at her mother and aunt, being very disruptive in the courtroom. Because the mother, if you saw it on WFSB, you saw the mother when she came into the courtroom, she was looking in the back behind her to see who was there. And the Hartford Courant reported that one individual said, "Nobody's here to support you. Don't look back here. There's nobody here to support you." Then it got a little rambunctious. In fact, it was so wild. They said it was more than a dozen officers in the courtroom out of fear that something physical could have happened. I am happy to hear that they took those measures, that they saw that. Because, again, the outrage is real, and it is nice to know. I will tell you this. For me, it was comforting to know that there were people who were that outraged, who thought, I can tell, wanted to jump over that partition and do the wrong thing, but wanted to do it nonetheless. I understood that, and I'm glad that the courthouse saw that tension beforehand. It says, case like this, we got to keep got to do it. Very happy about that. But something else happened that gave me pause. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to look at this the way that I did. So, again, if you disagree, this is what I tell everyone. Please give me a call. Say something in the chat room. I will read it. I am not afraid of people being disagreeable for some of the stuff that I say. But I'm coming from my own point of view. I'm not trying to say the right thing. I'm just trying to be honest about where I see this. So as I'm reading the Hartford Courant article and many others, there was an interesting thing. And it was certain family members did not wish to speak to the media, refused even. And in many cases, the regular news media could not get a comment from family members. I had to get all of the information from Telemundo as far as the custody case that we knew nothing about from 2007. Everyone that I've seen thus far is reporting based upon Telemundo or what's the other one? Univision, the Spanish-speaking news media. Found that odd. But still, there were a lot of people who did not wish to speak to the media. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, Reese, in something like this, you don't always want to get in front of the cameras. Okay. You are 100% right. I concede that point. However, yes, you knew it was coming. I'm thinking about this in a very, very real and rational way. The grandfather said, and he's quoted here, the grandfather who had custody of Mimi from birth until she was 7 years old said this, and I want to read the quote correctly. If I can find it, my apologies for not having it at the ready. I got so involved in this. Okay, yes. It was that they said that, oh yeah, I'm sorry. He had said that everyone was going to pay for little Mimi's death. Everyone. Now, I felt that as a grandfather who had that child in his care from birth till 7 years old, gets ripped from his hands, ripped from his wife's hands, her grandmother, and into the hands of the woman who would be responsible for her death, and says, everybody is paying for this. So I ask, why all the silence? Because, I'm sorry, I'm saying this. If I was in that position, and I'm a family member, and I know the story, and I'm sure they know the story, they had Mimi from the time she was born until she was 7 years old, and DCF, and we'll get into that behind too, DCF comes in and rips that child, the only home she knows. Immigration advocates, listen up. The only home she knew, DCF ripped her from it in sunny South Florida and put her in the hands of her mother, who eventually is responsible, allegedly, for her death. And nobody is screaming to the rafters, getting to the bottom of this, talking to the media, saying, why did DCF take this baby? Why did DCF put this in the hand of the mother? Why did DCF drop the ball? They'll be talking to everyone. I want this person. I want that person. I want everybody on the case. I would tell anyone who would listen, somebody find who killed my baby. But people said they didn't want to talk. People, silence, got this girl killed. What do I mean? The father, hey, we're coming by to pick up Mimi. She doesn't want to go. Who knows what the situation was when Dad came by? Grandpa, Grandma come all the way up from Florida to come visit. Hey, let's go out to dinner, guys. No, Mimi doesn't want to come. Nobody stepped up and says, hey, that's funny. You know, every time I call and I come up here to come visit, and Mimi doesn't. We flew all the way from Florida. Can't we at least see her? No, she doesn't want to see you. And nobody said a word. Everybody's silent. How? It's a 12-year-old girl. She's technically gone missing. They're calling. I mean, we're talking about a year worth of calling, a year worth of visiting, a year worth of dropping by. Hey, how's Mimi? She's not here. And nobody pushed back. And now you have an opportunity to say something to get her justice? Is this just going to be a bunch of people sitting in the courtroom screaming expletives at the mother, the aunt, and the boyfriend? Is that what this is going to be? Everybody's got words to say inside the courtroom, but where it matters, where we can get to the bottom of this, that we can hold people responsible, we can tell the media when asked, hey, what's going on? What happened here? What happened that? We want to get to the bottom of this. Where did DCF drop the ball? We may be able to hold people accountable, and we can help you. Just tell us what happened. Tell us what your experiences were like with her mother. Nah, we don't want to talk. But what does that mean? What does it mean? Is it just faux outrage? There are more people right now, and I'm being honest, there are more people who don't even know that girl or know that family who are concerned than those who were literally fingertips away from this girl, her existence, fingertips away. Grandma and grandpa, notwithstanding, I can understand their difficulties. They live over 1,000 miles away. They kind of felt as though they were just shafted by the system. Grandpa doesn't even speak English. Probably doesn't want to rock the boat. He gets his granddaughter taken away from the home, the only home she's known. How does that man not feel like he's up against it? That he's got no wins? That the system told him, it doesn't matter, abuelo. It doesn't matter, abuela. It doesn't matter. We have the control, and when we take the baby, we take the baby. Yeah, all of that 7 years you put in, yeah, that means nothing. You can't fight the system. And he's probably believing it. I can't do nothing about this. I can only hope. I can only pray. And if anybody cares about them, because they've got to be completely crushed. Grandma and grandpa have to be crushed out of anybody. They raised that baby. Technically, and I don't even think it's technical, their child was killed. Not her mother. Her mother did that to her, allegedly. Their child was killed. Their baby was killed. Their baby got snatched from them. There should be justice for them. And all of those people who were in that courtroom, who clearly were nearby and never lifted a finger, because you didn't, let's be honest, you didn't. You didn't lift any real fingers. Who showed up there to curse them out? Showing up late to the party? Now showing your outrage? Too little, too late. The baby's dead. You're not responsible. I wouldn't even say that you're complicit, but you're not needed now. Not unless you want to speak up. And if you want to speak up, you need to speak up on the behalf of grandma and grandpa. And you have to speak up on behalf of them to get justice for Mimi and find out why they lost custody. When we come back, we'll talk about her father. Sorry. There's a little issue with that as well. Stand by. More news, more views. We'll take your phone calls if you wish to. Alpine, as early as this, we'll get to those as well. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
We're back, Reese on the radio. We're talking about, of course, the tragic death of Mimi Torres, the 12-year-old girl who was found in a container in New Britain, and all evidence seems to point to her death being in Farmington. I've been reading, as I said at the beginning of the show, I was reading all of this information that it happened so quickly. We figured out so quickly. And I want to read this particular part. This was from Telemundo. It says that Carla Garcia, who's the primary suspect, and her mother, repeatedly deceived people about Mimi's situation. The grandparents said that Carla told them simply that Mimi didn't want to speak to them or her father, using that as an excuse to block visits and calls. They hadn't seen Mimi in person since a 2023 trip from Florida. Now, when they say they, I don't know if that was the grandparents and the biological father. But they say on a trip up from Florida in 2023 was the last time that they saw. Despite multiple attempts, Carla always had an excuse, such as claiming that Mimi didn't want to go out to eat. The grandfather noted that Mimi's father had gone to pick up her sibling just days before the remains were found, but was told the same story about Mimi not wanting to see him. He had not seen her since 2023. Now, fathers, I know what you're saying. Dads, I know, and moms even. No pressure? Just accepting that? No antennas going up? Suspicious? It's been 2 years? Nothing? Yeah. And that's not enough. I don't get it. It was just this, nope, doesn't want to see you, and that was fine. Now, I don't want to be too evident here when I say this. Is that I know someone who's personally going through something similar to this. They're not a friend of mine, but I know somebody, an associate of mine, who has a father who's going through this with their kid. They're constantly back and forth. The daughter and the father beefing. Daughter spends the time not wanting to talk to dad. And the other daughter will visit the dad. So in essence, same situation. He picks up one of the kids. The other one stays behind and refuses to go on visitation day. Still a minor, just refuses to go. Nope, don't want to go. Because of a back and forth that the dad had. Says that he's a little too harsh. Sometimes he speaks to her that she doesn't like it. She's always nervous around him and uncomfortable. So now on visitation weekends, she doesn't go, but the other sibling does. But here's the interesting part. Every time dad brings the other one home, mom and the other daughter at the door to greet the sibling when they come home because they haven't seen them all weekend. Hey, hugs, kisses, how you doing? How's your weekend? Father will say hi to the daughter that doesn't really speak to at least maintain some connection. Hi, sweetheart. How you doing? Hey, Dad. And walks in the house. But there's some sort of, hey, get to see him. And I know that the mom is doing it so at least they see each other to keep that connection. This dad wasn't getting that. I know it seems nosy to say what I'm about to say next, but that's got to be answered. That's a question that's lingering there. It's got to be, Dad, 2013, every time you called, every time you came around, nothing? And you just accepted that? Was there any pushback? Was there arguing? Was there anything? Did you at least contact someone to say, hey, it's weird. I haven't seen my daughter in 2 years. My ex seems to tell me that she doesn't want to talk to me, but I find that odd. I don't even see her. I don't even hear her in the house. There's no proof of life. I hate to put it that way, but let's be honest. Like, how long do you just resist? And it brought me to something. An ugly truth that it just really bakes me that I have to say this. And I can't believe it. I just can't. I have been whitewashing this thing. I have been hesitant. I have been. Something is going on with the matriarchy now. I think it's time for the pendulum to swing back. I think dads have been emasculated. I think dads have been marginalized. I think fathers in our society have absolutely lost touch with what their role is to acquiesce to the matriarchy. because I have a really, really sick suspicion that this dad just went along to get along. I can't help but feel that way. Daughter doesn't want to talk to you? Okay. All right, I'll try again next week. Not demanding. Not saying, hey, you bring your behind out here. Let me see your face. I don't care if you don't want to talk to me. I want to talk to you. And in some way, that would have been out of bounds. I remember a TV show called Kids Are People Too. Do you remember that? I don't know if everybody remembers that show. When I was a kid, growing up in my mother's very abusive and very strict household, I know I looked at that TV show and always said to myself, no, we're not. Don't get ahead of your skis there, buddy. We are not people too. We've got a certain relationship in this household, and I am not going to get my back up against my parents and say, oh, I've got rights too. No, I don't. I accepted my place in that hierarchy. Me, child, seen, not heard, shut up, do your chores. You eat what I serve you. And if you don't eat at all. So I can't help but look at this and just go, Dad was just okay with this? Since 2023? Hey, let me talk to Mimi. Nah, she doesn't want to talk to you. Okay. What? And again, only reason why, it brings an understanding to all of this for me. Right? If there was more to it, then we can all go, okay. All right, did he fight her tooth and nail? Did it end up getting into a fight? Did it end up being, volatile where the mother was just hanging up the phone? Blah, 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 blah. Screw you. Blah, blah, blah. Don't ever call you again. All right. I get it. I don't even think it's that cut and dry. I don't think any situation like this is cut and dry. But something, it's got to give. Imagine you would find out. Now, I'm gonna paint a picture here. Just spitballing here. Imagine your 11-year-old child says that they don't want to talk to you anymore. And the last visit you had with that child, there was no argument, no contention, nothing whatsoever, nothing contentious at all. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, nope, doesn't want to go out to eat with the grandparents. There was no fight, no argument, no nothing. Every time you come around, hey, let's go out to dinner. Tell Mimi we're going to her favorite restaurant. No, she doesn't want to eat. It's a person you've raised for 7 years in your home. Every facet of her life you were involved in. And then, oddly, out of nowhere, wants nothing to do with you. And I understand there's a culture thing that people are probably saying to themselves, kids today. I don't know. And again, I know that I'm looking at this, from a perch and on Monday morning quarterbacking. I get it. But folks, this isn't about Monday morning quarterbacking. This is about analyzing this whole thing to where we are. And there are certain unanswered questions that are key. We'll get to DCF in the next hour. I promise you, we are not letting that one go. That's an important factor in all of this. And I've got data that backs up what my point of view is on this anyway. But there's something going on. Child leaves at 7 years old, all the way back up to Connecticut from Florida. Clearly, there was a relationship from 2019 to 2023, and then nothing. My mom would ask back, are you sure it's your turn to eat tonight? I love that. Matt says, when I asked my mom what's for dinner, she said 2 choices, take it or leave it. Yeah, again, these You understand where I'm coming from. I know you do. This isn't even common sense. This is basic. This is 101 stuff, guys. Now, I don't know whether or not these folks are savvy enough to ask these questions. That's why I'm here. And I'm sure some of them are listening now. They're going, yeah, that's actually an important question. We cannot just accept the answers as they are. Because we know, I mean, if you really think about this child had no one if that's the case. Since 2023, there's no DCF, there's no dad, there's no grandma, there's no grandpa, there's no aunt, there's nobody. We have a packed courtroom of a bunch of nobodies, no-shows, who didn't decide to take action until the body was cold, until the body was decomposed. By the way, to you folks, I want nothing to do with you, and no one should. No one should even consider you at this point. You are useless, but then again, you always were. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views, and then we'll get to the phones. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Got plenty of news and plenty of views to get to outside of this, but we are taking your phone calls on the story of Mimi Torres and her death as it relates to the information that we have that's new today. There's some other staggering information that we have as well that I want to get to in the next hour after headlines. Stand by for that. Let's go to the phones, 860-522-WTIC. Hello, Christine.
Hey, Reese. Well, I'm sorry to call in now because I heard you talk about the Connecticut Sun and I have to go to work early. So
The Connecticut Sun?
You talked about that yesterday.
Oh, is that what you were calling about?
Yeah, but I'm going to work early, so I don't know if I can get a signal on my route. That's why I called in now. But I can hang up and...
Yeah, just try me later on. I'm going to stick with this story, okay?
No problem.
Thank you. You got it. Sean is in Meriden. What's going on, sir?
Hey, I'm because I haven't been able to get any satisfaction with anybody else, and I know that you're like a pit bull on a steak bone. It's like nothing's going away if there's an injustice. I just came across my Facebook page that Tim Walz in the state of Minnesota signed an executive order to give driver's license to illegal immigrants. He's surrounded by illegal immigrants, and he posted this, and he just put a welcome sign to Minnesota to come get licenses. And I just called his office in Minneapolis saying, you think they're going to stay in Minneapolis? And are you? And my other question is, because I know I believe your wife's a lawyer.
No. She just studied law.
Okay, she studied law. Well, here's what a question I have for her, and I don't need an answer now. If there's a way that we can get a class action suit against him so that anybody, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Pritzker or Walz, if they as a governor of the state, issue a license and an accident happens, that we can sue them personally and the state personally for death or harm or anything that comes from licenses issued in their state.
Well, aside from the fact that it is out of our state, I do know that the Justice Department is actually on that story. I found that out yesterday. I'm not really addressing that at this moment, Sean, but I do know that there are people who are on top of it. I heard the story last night.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, why don't you just tell people, hey, just break the laws because we're going to reward that. And here's the other question I have, and this is to me, is why follow the laws if they don't apply to the law-abiding citizens? Because you can find us.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely ludicrous.
This is nothing more.
For retirement, I'm like, this is nuts.
It's nothing more than a reaction to this administration, and it is at this point is just breaking the law and just subverting the law because of the fact that they don't like the person who was elected. But thank you, Sean. I appreciate.
How do they not?
Sean, let me get the one more on the topic I'm on, buddy. All right, thank you, man. Tina is in Connecticut. Hello, Tina.
Hi, Reese. I'm calling about the tragedy about Mimi Torres.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say that I really wish that the news reporting would be more accurate by saying that the parents claim to be homeschooling their children. These kids were clearly not homeschooled.
Yeah, in fact,
the boy in Waterbury also was clearly not homeschooled.
absolutely right. And the interesting part about it is that report out of the Connecticut Insider, who said that Mimi was homeschooled, didn't even do any amount of diligence to find out that there isn't a record of her homeschooling at all, filed by the mother, the aunt, or anyone else for that matter. There is absolutely no evidence to support that she was homeschooled in any way.
And what's terrible about that is this could infringe upon the rights of homeschooling families across Connecticut who are law-abiding, who are providing wonderful education for their families. And I worry that the inaccurate reporting of this is not shedding light on the fact that there was a criminal element here. These parents were not meeting the educational needs of their children in an alternative way, which is homeschooling.
Can I tell you?
These
Can I give you?
parents were criminal.
Tina, can I give you a daunting number that I found out yesterday?
Sure.
Do you know how many children are chronically absent from Connecticut schools?
I don't.
98,000.
Wow.
Now, in order to be chronically absent from school, you must be missing at least 10% of the school year. Now, the number that they do not give is which of these children don't show up at all. And 98,000, even if the percentage of those who do not show up at all, in essence, just don't go to school, and you know there's a lot, I'm willing to bet that it's a third of that number.
Wow.
Now, if that's the case, DCF is supposed to be on that because we've got the educators who have them on the attendance rolls, those kids not at school, therefore immediately reporting those children, absence to DCF and then putting them on the DCF rolls to go investigate why they're not at school. How well do you think DCF is handling that burden?
They're clearly not handling it.
Exactly.
But
and that is the reason why, Tina, that homeschooling is being attacked right now.
Well, also in this case, these parents had a criminal history.
That's correct.
So the issue is criminality. There's something wrong with the people. It's not homeschooling.
Exactly. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because I've got Abel Child did a great article today about that as well. I'm going to get to that after the top of the hour. But thank you, Tina. I've got a hard break coming up, and thank you for your call. Let's get to the WTIC newsroom with John Silva, of course, who's got more on this and much, much more. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, normally right now I would go directly into headlines. That's why I love it when you play that bumper. Because that's what I would do. But I have to address this because we have so much other stuff to get into on this story. There's just so many details to sort of peel back. Anyway, I'm going to put a request out there. Senate and congressional Republicans in the state of Connecticut. I know you listen to the show, and I appreciate that you listen to the show. I hope that you get ideas from this show. But I have a request. But this is not something that I need you to give me platitudes about. This is something I need done. And I think it's incumbent on you to know for this story. It will get national attention. The story is already on the Gateway Pundit, and it will go elsewhere. Abel Child is reporting on it. It will go elsewhere. So here's something that you can solve, and it's real quick, and it's real simple, and the data is available, but someone's not releasing it. So as I was talking to the young woman a minute ago, why do I forget her name already, Roland? Do you remember what her name was? The young lady I just spoke to, who the last call.
Oh, Tina?
Tina, thank you. Sorry, Tina, I apologize for getting your name that soon, but it's popped into my head after having that conversation with her. I wanted to get the number. And I said, there's got to be a number on those 98,000 school children that are chronically absent from Connecticut schools. And again, chronically absent means missing 10% of the school year or more. So then I went to go search and said, you know what? How many of those kids aren't showing up at all? There must be a record of them. Because, again, they take attendance records. They seem to keep this number. Try this on for size. The Connecticut Mirror, they just reported that as of February of 2025, the statewide rate of children who are chronically absent peaked at 20.2%. This was an increase of over 7,200 students from January's rate of 18.7%. By the end of the 2024-2025 school year, the number had dropped to about 83,000. But now the number is up to 98,000. As far as children who do not show up at all, who have zero attendance records, no days enrolled at school, showing up at all, there are no records being kept, disseminated, or even logged. Why? Technically, these are missing children, aren't they? They are missing from the school system and could very well be missing overall. Which children are they? Whose children are they? So right now, if we are to do anything about this, there's a start. Hey, DCF, you don't want to take the heat on this one? Fine, help us. Let's get the Board of Education, let's get all of the schools to get that number to everybody right now. How many kids are not showing up to school? Zero attendance. They came in, they've enrolled in the school, never show up. Hell, if it's 90%, because I'll tell you, if a kid's not showing up 90% of the time, he's not showing up at all. I only know that because I was that kid. And if anybody would have had any interest, guess what they would have found out? There was a 15-year-old kid sleeping in a stairway at 193-30 Jamaica Avenue in Queens. Look it up right now. Go ahead, anybody. Look it up right now on your Google Maps and look up that building. It still stands. It's a 3-story building on the corner of 195th Street and Jamaica Avenue. It's a brick building. I slept on the second-floor staircase. I had 0 days at Andrew Jackson High School. So the question's got to be asked. If they know that 10% or kids are 98,000 kids are showing up only 10% of the time or 10% of absenteeism, they've got to know the ones who aren't showing up. They've got to be in the rolls. How many of those kids are in the DCF database? How many? Who at the school system is saying, hey, what? Johnny hasn't been here since August, the beginning of the school year. It's now October. What's going on? Okay, I got to report this. Did nobody in the classroom say, like is no teacher saying, hey, you know what? I'm doing attendance every day and the kid's never here. I know they tell us that the teachers care, and I'm sure they do. But no one's keeping a record of that? No one? I just find it odd. Because everyone's trying to say that this child was homeschooled, which, by the way, is a stretch. Come on, folks. Come on. Who here really believes that that child was being homeschooled? Who believes it? Nobody does. And trying to protect DCF and doing it, that's That, to me, is the biggest problem in this, is the fact that there are so many people who are running to the aid of DCF that they would lie to protect it. What are we missing? There's something there. But I think that number's easy to get. I think there are teachers out there, hey, listen, you know what? Let's do this. Let's put out an APB on teachers. Hear me out. Teachers, those of you out there, you know who you are. Those of you who listen to this program, those of you who have husbands who listen to this program. Husbands, if your wife's a teacher. Wives, if your husband is a teacher. And you know that it's one of the things that your spouse complains about, your significant other complains about kids that are enrolled in school but never seem to show up. Don't worry. Leave us an anonymous tip. You can go to reaseontheradio.com. You can go right on the top that says contact us. Click on there. The telephone number that shows up, you can even send us a text. You don't even have to call. All you have to do is go to reaseontheradio.com and click on that contact us on the top right-hand corner and just put in the information. How many kids do you know of aren't showing up? And I know that you know. And what is being done about them? Is anyone reporting them? Republicans, this is a job that you can get on. Because Lamont seems to think, Governor Lamont that is, seems to think, nothing going on here. Nothing to be concerned about. This is absolutely, it's run amok at this point. It's way too many kids in the DCF system who are dying. I mean, we are not talking about just getting injured. We're talking about death here. And if they're not responsible, good. They need to get on board to assist us to get to the bottom of this. None of this protectivism of DCF and trying to save it as an institution. People are done. And the more that you protect them and they are not held to account and people get to lie and then leave the DCF and then, put out these reports about how bad it is over at the office. Those things don't help. If you can't whistleblow while you're there, you're useless today. You can't leave and then say, whoa, I can tell you what's going on over there when I was there. Not in the name of protecting children. That's just nonsense. Let me go. Sam's in Windsor. How are you?
Hey, Reese. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. What's up?
So, I have some personal experience with this, and the Connecticut educational laws, all a parent has to do is say my child is homeschooled, and they can't say boo to them. The problem is systemic. It starts at the top and it goes all the way to the bottom.
Well, okay, wait. Hold on. Sam, you do have some information in this. So I'm sorry. No offense, but when you say something and I hear something, I need a question. So forgive me. I know you had a whole thing you wanted to spiel, but there's something important here. Okay, so all right. So mom says my baby's being homeschooled, and then the administration can say nothing. But just for checks and balances, is it impossible for said administrator or somebody who is concerned to say, okay, if the kid's being homeschooled, is there a database that we can check that says the child is registered at this homeschooling program, blah, 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 blah. So at least we know that the parent isn't taking that kid out of school and violating the law. Because in essence, it is against the law.
Absolutely 100% it is against the law. The problem is that there is no such database. Look, my children went to school for a bit in Windsor and then left Windsor and basically hung out at mom's house all day. Windsor called. So I'm a fairly religious guy.
Sure.
So I got them enrolled in a homeschooling organization.
Mm-hmm.
And really, once I said the words homeschooled, DCF stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped writing. The it was like a light switch.
But did they? I understand that, but are you telling me that with that you're saying, okay, my child is homeschooled, all you have to do is say it, and then there's no follow up?
Exactly, that's the problem.
Okay, that good. No, I'm glad that you're addressing this because listen, right now we have a target. Then, if that's the case, that parents are allowed to just say my kid's homeschool, and DCF just says okay, ho hum, and then we'll walk away. Then good, let's fix that. That's a great lead in.
Indeed, and also the Department of Children and Families in Connecticut, they got off federal watch lists like a year ago. They were being federally mandated because they're such a screwed up organization.
Wow.
I mean, the quality of people that work for that organization are just, I don't want to swear.
Yeah, no, I know. Trust me, I've heard the words that have been said, and it is. I work. Listen, if I can tell you a little tale out of school, Sam. I was a product of what was called BCW. DCF is the same thing. BCW in Queens was called the Bureau of Child Welfare, and that was how I ended up in foster care when I was 4, until I was 7. And just like Mimi here, I was put back in the care of my mother when I was 7 years old. And of course, my mom was incredibly abusive. I should have stayed with my foster parents, the Pattersons. I wish I had in many cases. In fact, I'll tell you this, Sam. My younger brother who went into the same foster home as I did. We had another sister and with another family. But the foster parents that we went to, Oliver and Helen Patterson, my younger brother, lived with me for 3 years when he was very young and lived with us. When he ran away from home after we ended up with my mother, the police always found him at our foster parents' home. That's where he always ran. So, I know this. I know it personally and intimately about these kids who are in foster care because a lot of these foster parents, I know they're not all perfect, but it's a program that I support.
Well, I mean, another thing is that in Connecticut, most of them are doing it for the money.
Yes.
I mean, you can have 4 foster children and be making like $110,000 a year.
Yeah, I shouldn't disparage them. There are some people who do it for the money. I shouldn't say yes, they all do. Yeah. I don't, but there are some people who do that. But like I said, it's not a perfect system. Some people have found a way to, chicanery. But I still support the system overall. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you. Let me get to a couple more. Let's go to Bob in Danbury. Hello, Bob. Sir? Bob, are you there?
Hello. I am.
Hey, how are you, sir? It's Reese on the radio. How are you?
Good, Reese. Reese, I'm listening to the commentary, and I'm just curious, is there a number of students shown in that database that shows that they are listed as homeschooled? And if so, based on the last caller, evidently there is no follow-up, but should there be some type of follow-up for those homeschooled individuals who are identified as homeschooled?
Absolutely. And I think about this, if you're the Department of Children and Families and your role is to ensure, hey, the kid's not in school, I need to make sure that the well-being of the child is intact, that they are with parents who care about them, the child is not being abused, and he's not being held from school for some other nefarious reasons, right? Because they're trying to keep him from being seen or he or her seen because he has wounds on his body or he's being physically abused in some way. If the parent is telling me, oh, my kid's not enrolled in school because he's homeschooled, if I don't then go, okay, that's fine, we're going to have to check some back channels to make sure that that's accurate. Can you tell me the whole homeschooling program that your child is with? And then they do a follow-up and they say, oh, the kid's part of a homeschool program, and then leaves. And I would do it just like I would do any investigation. Monitor that program for 6 months to make sure the kid is still enrolled. And then when we're certain, then we move on. But we don't just say we're going to take the parent's word for it and say my kid's homeschooled. And we treat that as like, the cross to Dracula and say, oh, okay, I want to go any further than that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. That needs to be change number one, where there's some accountability to the homeschool program as well as the parents.
Exactly. And again, this is the department that's supposed to do the investigation on the welfare of the child. This is not an organization that comes in and peeks its head in and says, hey, everything all right in there? Everything's fine. Okay, bye. That's not what they're there for. They're there to actually find out that the child is being well kept in that home by the parent, especially if there was an alarm bell or some red flags that go off on that child. One, absenteeism. That's rule number one. If the kid has been absent 10% of the school year, that's a red flag. And if you go there and you say, oh, the kid's being homeschooled, I'm going to need some information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got it. Let's go to Ann in Meriden. Hello, Ann.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. I have wanted to call you every time DCF comes up, and I'm always in the car, and I don't press myself to drive.
So glad you got the chance.
Yeah, I am too. Anytime something horrible like this happens, I immediately look to see if DCF is involved. And you know what? They always are.
Wow.
The little boy in Bridgeport who was beaten to death with baseball bats, DCF was called on that 2 days before the little boy died. They're suing. The little boy was found in a Milford hotel floating in the bathtub 1 day before that. DCF was called. And your previous caller alluded to the fact that DCF was under federal supervision for a few years. And it was. It was under federal supervision for 30 years. And then just a couple of years ago, I want to say 2022, it was removed. And I just think that DCF needs to take some heat for a change.
Yeah, and I think that this protective layer that is being put around them, and it's by the usual suspects, the people who do not want to get to the bottom of these tragedies, just immediately come to the aid of saying, no, DCF is doing a great job. And look, I'm by every metric that I've seen in the last 3 years, this would be this would be an argument for defunding the organization when you have that many kids dead in 3 years.
Absolutely. Just look at some of the cases. There's always DCF involvement. And, it's really sad. I feel so horrible for this poor little darling girl.
I look at it this way, Ann, and I think this is a key way to look at it. If DCF is supposed to be the agency that is brought in to prevent tragedies like these, and they only happen anyway, they are useless. Now, many people can sit around and say, but what about all the good work that they do? I would say, good. If they do a lot of good work, I don't ever hear about it. I never hear about it. There isn't anything that's being publicized about the good work that DCF is doing. I hear a lot of stuff that they've dropped the ball on, and then when we're asked, or when we ask questions about why certain things are going on, which kids are the ones that are at risk, they give us nothing. They've got nothing to say, and they've got no data. They've got no database to at least present. So that's where we are.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad I called in because this means a lot to me. It's just a horrible situation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You got it, Ann. Thank you so much. We'll take a break. We'll take more of your phone calls. I see the phones ringing. I promise we will get to them all. Stand by. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio on, oh my goodness, WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hi, this is Mike Allen, WTIC AM pilot and traffic reporter. Happy birthday, WTIC.
Hey, we're back, and it's time to get into some news. By the way, Zoran Mamdani is currently in an interview, a one-on-one interview with Martha McCallum on Fox News. Not that you should run over there. We'll see if there's any highlights that we can get into today. Also, we've got some other news. Don't forget, we got to get into Nancy Pelosi. You're not going to want to miss this. This just happened a little while ago on the steps of the Capitol. So we have to get to that. Also, Chris Murphy, we've got to talk about, and No Kings, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. New data suggests that fewer young adults are identifying as non-binary, a term that refers to individuals who do not identify as male or female. Eric Kaufman, a professor of politics at the University of Buckingham, released a report titled The Decline of Trans and Queer Identity Among Young Americans, in which he suggests that the percentage of non-binary Gen Zers in America has declined in recent years. Kaufman compiled student survey results from the Higher Education Research Institute, or HERI, and the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE. as well as private college prep school, Andover Phillips Academy in Massachusetts, and Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. Sorry. He also included data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention surveys of U.S. high school students, the most recent from 2023, in addition to several smaller surveys. In this report, he pointed out that FIRE surveyed over 50,000 U.S. undergrad students, mainly at leading research universities this year. Their findings pointed out that only 3.6% of young adults identified as a gender other than their male or female gender, a steady decline compared to 5.2 the last year and 6.8 in the year before that. Leaders of the young Republicans throughout the country worried that it would happen to their Telegram chat if it ever got leaked, and it has. Politico has gotten a hold of over 28,000 messages in this private back and forth. And people have been made to respond to this, which is actually, to me, kind of funny. So Politico did an article where they are upset that these young Republicans were cracking jokes in these private messages that talked about things like Hitler, Nazis, all this other stuff. And I just want to make sure that this is the big hubbub. Even Vice President J.D. Vance talked about it today, and he clapped back at Politico and says, you guys really want to make a big deal out of this, these people joking when you said nothing about Jay Jones in New Jersey, the guy who's running for attorney general, talking about killing kids? You guys had nothing to say about that? And you guys want to talk about this? Here's the interesting part, and this is the angry part of the Politico ad. So just so you know, according to these text messages, out of 28,000 of them, they found the F-word gay slur, the word retarded, and the rap version of the N-word, with the instead of the They found the use of those three words combined 251 times out of 28,000 text messages. Moving right along. J.D. Vance handled that well. Another day of nationwide protests, by the way, is going to take place this Saturday. And I found out, if you don't know, that it's going to take place right in Connecticut as well. But there's something interesting that someone pointed out. They're a little concerned about the number of people who are going to show up, even though, according to some reports, the last No Kings protest drew about 7,000 people to the capital city. But they clearly must be concerned about how many people are going to show up this time, because someone noticed that each of the protests seemed to be scheduled right after each other. So there's like a 11:30 protest until 12:30, and then there's another one at 1:30 in the town over. So people can just sort of protest hop, so they can keep the thing not going, but just show that it was massive numbers, because each one will be counted individually, and so they'll be able to double dip. So I thought that was interesting. In fact, Chris Murphy has cut an ad for the No Kings protest on the 18th.
So just blocks from here in Washington, D.C., on October 18th, there will be the big national No Kings protest. But there's a protest in your town or in your state, too. You can go to nokings.org and find out where the closest event is to you. This is important. Donald Trump is trying to destroy the rule of law, trying to destroy our democracy, trying to stop you from being able to speak freely. But he can't win if we mobilize.
I keep trying to figure this out. So everybody mobilize, and it means that Trump can't win because everybody is out on the street on Saturday when the government's closed? And what exactly, like, what's the thing that's going to happen if everybody mobilizes on Saturday, Chris? I looked it up. I actually checked it out. I went, like, what could possibly be the thing? So they said that the protests will defend democracy against authoritarianism, rejecting kings and tyranny symbolically, amplifying marginalized voices. So I guess they'll just get a megaphone, and building sustained resistance. That's what this thing is going to accomplish. They're just going to be standing outside. Okay, all right, whatever. That's what they do. Let's go to the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
I did not know this, and I had to be told by a CNN reporter. Men like attractive women. I did not know this. I needed a CNN reporter to know this, and they are not happy about it. According to a CNN report, this summer, one of their reporters got a cultural whiplash. She writes, as a child in the 90s and the early 2000s, I grew up with my mother and grandmother's generations and their fight for legal and workplace equality, helping shed social misogyny. In the past decade in particular, I saw evidence of progress in my media diet. The movies, the shows, the books, and the advertisements I consumed were increasingly giving women a seat at the table. Heroin chic fell away. The body positive entered the fashion world. Stories about women stealing your man were traded with celebrations of the girls who resisted the competition for men's attention. It seems like women were taking a deeper breath without such heavy cultural restrictions. Then there was a shift, she writes. Was it around the 2024 president election? It always is. Or since the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Maybe when men's rights activists pushed back against the Me Too movement. Whatever the catalyst, a change in the political environment seemed to connect with social change that brought back narrow and at times constrictive ideas of womanhood depicted in the media. The recent rise of weight loss medications coincided with social media influencers sharing ways to get smaller and no longer celebrating bodies of all sizes. Advertisements followed suit, making men's desire once again a dominating factor in how stories are told and how women are portrayed. How are these discarded ideas made its way back into circulation? Didn't we all agree that we had enough of them? No, we did not. We did not all agree. The male gaze, she writes, came roaring back this summer. Do you know what she says is the catalyst? Do you want to say it was the bellwether moment? Sydney Sweeney. That's right. The American Eagle ad. The controversial ad that men turned around and said, hey, that girl's pretty hot. And American Eagle's sales soared because of it. Even though people called it everything under the book that they thought would work. This woman is absolutely upset about it. She is so angry. No more body positive. Men are actually gazing at pretty girls. Ooh, she's pretty. Oh, she's hot. That's now bad, folks. That's now bad. And this woman is upset about it. Gone are the healthy girls of Lizzo. By the way, as I always said before, if you really want to test this anywhere, find yourself one of these body positive numbnuts. Find them. And I want you to go right to them and just say, damn, you're hot like Lizzo. Damn, you're as pretty as Dylan Mulvaney. And see how they respond. Let's see if they're really, really down for the cause. You know, Matteo says, forget Sydney Sweeney. Give me Ruth Bader Ginsburg every day. I won't knock your hustle, buddy. I won't. I will not knock your hustle. If that's what you're into, that's fine. I remember a radio host asked me, well, actually, I know a radio host I actually used to work with, and he asked me whether or not I thought Hillary Clinton at any time in her career, any time in her life, was attractive. And I have to say, there was one time that I can honestly say she was kind of cute. But it all went south after that. And it was exactly the time when, people said that you had to wear pantsuits to be in Washington. It was over. Bob says, I never had a 10, but 2 pretty good 5.5s. Oh, 2 pretty good 5s, he said. Yeah. I don't know. I've had my share of 5s, too. Let's take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. We got traffic and weather coming up as well with Mark Christopher. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Let's get to the phones real quick. What's up, Jim? How are you?
Hey, Reese, the last time I tried to amplify my moderate voice, I was called a racist and a fascist by people and a Nazi, by people who knew me and debated me because we had differences concerning politics over many years, and including members of my family.
Yeah, man.
Who also had differences. We would have differences of opinion concerning politics, and we would debate it. And as soon as Trump got into office, that all went out the window, and I became the walking fascist, Hitler-loving, whatever.
Is a fascinating change. It was interesting that the person I noticed that with, like, in real time, was Roseanne and her stepdaughters from the children of from her last marriage. And she raised these little girls in her house until their adulthood. So she had been active in their lives all the time. Once she started to think openly about conservatism and made it known, it was unapologetic about her support of Donald Trump, these people acted like they didn't even know her anymore. That she had transformed in a way that made her like everything that she stood up for when it came to them and their beliefs went right out the window.
Let me just throw this at you. My position has and always has been concerning Trump. I don't care about the guy's bombast or his self-centered ego, nothing.
Right.
Because that's what most politicians are. All I care about are the results of the policies of the politician who's telling us he's going to do something. And even that wasn't good enough. Even that wasn't good enough.
Because they don't see him. They don't.
My philosophy overall.
But see, Jim, that's where we lose. I think that the conversation with these folks, when it comes to the debates, they do not see the politics of Trump. They only see Trump. Why?
Yes, I know.
But
I understand that. But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't see Trump in that way. And it's amazing.
But how do you deal with people, Jim? But how do you deal with people who do? Because I'll put it to this way: when you're making if you're making a two-tiered argument, or you're having a two-tiered argument, let's put it that way. You're on the ground floor talking about policies. They're on the second floor talking about the man.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, I know that.
So my question to you is that while you're debating that and they're screaming, but he's an awful person, how do you meet them where they are and have that conversation?
You can't. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted during the first term of Trump.
Yeah.
Flabbergasted that somebody could say, I don't want to talk to you about politics. You're crazy because you like that guy.
Yeah.
And then follow that up with just very heinous, slanderous things, and then spread it across Facebook, spread it across social media about somebody they know is not that person.
Yeah, I don't think that they care. I think that's what it is, because I think that for a lot of people on the left, politics is an emotional thing. Right?
Yes, I know that.
That's what it was like when they put their name behind someone or their support behind someone. They are actually like it's more than a football team. You know, it's like I put it to this way: more people, like there were so many people who didn't care that LeBron James switched teams here, there, or everywhere because of their dedication to LeBron. And while people who were Cavalier fans looked at it and just said, he abandoned us. You know, it's like that's the way they looked at it. So it's a weird dynamic, but that's the way it is. Thank you, Jim.
I know that.
You got it, man. Let's get our first check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher. He's at the BPS Traffic Center. We got more news and more views. Stand by. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
It's already 4 o'clock. I can't believe it. Let's do this thing.
Bagel Deli and Bakery. Between rounds.
Congratulations goes out to Bud V. Bud V out in New Britain. He is the winner of today's dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. If you'd like to participate, you know where to go. ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. So you can participate. Make sure you put in your telephone number and your birth date. Must live in the state of Connecticut and cannot have won within the last 6 months to enter. All right? Just, put your name in there. And if you put your name in there already and you seem like, it's been a while, I haven't put my name in there and I haven't won, do it again. And plus, you can check out some other stuff. You can check out Reese on the Radio on all aspects. Go to my Substack, okay? Go to my Substack. That's important. We appreciate it. Also, if you want to participate to help those in need and the Connecticut Food Share and all the work that they're doing, pick up a Becca at Between Rounds. That is a bacon, egg, and cheese chipotle mayo from Helmut, an avocado sandwich on a bagel, and 50 cents of that proceed will go to the Connecticut Food Share. There is, coming up, I want to talk about some polling data. As you always know, in the beginning of the week, if up to Wednesday, we always get Harry Enton from CNN to bring up new polling data. It's always interesting. We've got some new stuff from him today. We'll play that coming up in a little while. The woman, Porter, what's her name? Gosh, why am I forgetting her name already? Katie Porter, out of California, running for California governor. We got some audio of her responding to the videos that have come out about her screaming at her staff. I'll tell you what it means and what this video breaks down for you. Also, a Lindell TV journalist named Allison Steinberg. I've got to play you the audio with her exchange with Nancy Pelosi today as it relates to January 6th. If you haven't heard it yet, do not go anywhere. You do not want to miss this. Nancy Pelosi has an out-of-body experience, and it is worth it. Listen, you don't even need to see it. Well, you might need to see it as well. So if you like to, go to ReeseOnRadio.com so you can watch it. But you do not want to miss this, so stand by. It's really, really good. Oh, is it good? Never seen Nancy like this before in my life. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's back at the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, sir.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We'll take your calls about the DCF and, of course, about the death and murder of Mimi Torres. If you still want to call in, even though we're moving on to other subjects, as you know, I'm freewheeling. I could do any subject, any matter whatsoever, and I know some people have got some other stuff they want to talk about. But if it doesn't, if I can't talk about it, I'll tell you, let's move on from that or whatever the case is. But whatever the case may be, you want to call in, you can. We'll wing it. I want to address something, if I could, before I get back to the phones. And when I was doing my podcast, I used to do some very, very funny and very inflammatory bits. People get ticked off about Thursday's Negro nonsense. I was really, really hardcore, like cable television hardcore with my show. Imagine Chris Rock were a conservative. It still wouldn't measure up. Because I told a lot of hard truths on my podcast. And I did not mince words. And we used to have a bit on my program called Negro Myths. And what this was what was established to do was to dispel nonsense that people often talk about inside the hood, the place that none of them would ever roam. But again, I lived it, and I understand the nature of the hood. My wife today, when she tells me this all the time, when I introduce her to friends and associates, she says, damn, baby, you have some janky friends. And I go, yeah, I know. And the reason why is because I love people who are, as we used to call them, gutter. They're effective. They are effective. And they keep you down to earth. I can hang out with the upper echelon. I can hang out with the prim and proper. But I'm a dive bar kind of guy. I don't, I'm just, above, I'm right above sea level. And the reason why is because if I don't understand what's going on, I can't convey to you what's going on. So if I'm above it all, how could I possibly convey to you that I understand? So we used to do this bit, and it was always arguing with people who had never lived in those things, had never been in those conditions, talking about them. And a common Negro myth, as it were, was that the white man is infesting black neighborhoods with guns. I hear it all the time because there was just there's a press conference going on about violent crime inside the neighborhoods. And people are standing by who, again, do not dwell in the hood, would never dwell in the hood. And if they did go through the hood, they would lock the doors, roll up the windows, and speed through as fast as they possibly can. And we're talking about people of color here who seem to know everything there is to know about the ails of these individuals. They know nothing. So let me dispel this myth, if I can. Black gangbangers do not get guns from white folks. They never will. People who sell guns in the hood to gangbangers do not get them from white folks either. Let's use the logic here, please. Just listen closely. You're a gangbanger, and you want to purchase the next heater, the next chop, or as the kids call them in Chicago, the switch. Yeah, interesting how I know the term. All of those things that they get their hands on. Do you think that there's some white guy standing around going, hey, come here, buddy. Hey, yeah, what set are you claiming? Yeah, come on over here. I've got a couple of burners for you. How would you like to take a look at all of these fantastic ratchets I have for you? This one will definitely shoot up the block. Do you think that that's what young black kids are doing when they go and buy those guns? That they are purchasing them from the white man who's infiltrating the hood and selling them to them? Is that what you believe it is? Do you also believe that's the case when it comes to drugs or any other illegal substances or contraband? Do you believe that's the case? That the white man is going into the hood and the white folks are the black kids in the neighborhood are just walking up to the white man who's got it in the trunk of his car. And you don't think that any one of those kids would say, yo, you 5-0, son. Yo, you the cop, son. You the D. That's exactly what those kids would do. Those kids would never purchase those items from a white person. That's why it's a myth to suggest, how did the guns get in the neighborhood? From people who look just like them. In fact, we know this to be true because I know it to be true because I've been there. A lot of these kids go pick up the burner at some apartment in a Spanish neighborhood. A lot of the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and other groups who actually do the hand-to-hand sales and those things, none of them are white. They don't go into the nice side of town and go pick it up at the gun shop who's selling the guns behind the alleyway. That's not how it works. So when you ask the ridiculous question, where did the 17-year-old get the gun from? Someone who looks like him. Do you think a white person would be able, and the kid wouldn't turn around and say, nah, I'm suspicious about you, white guy. What's your name, Billy? Where are you from, Billy? What are you doing around here selling ratchets? So please, get that out of your head when you're asking this ridiculous question about who's bringing the guns into the neighborhood. Black kids, Hispanic kids, grown adults. People in gangs, people who actually go to places and pick them up and drive them into the communities. There is no white interloper. It's the same thing with the drug trade. Those things are usually infiltrated by none other than brown folks. That's right. They traffic in those things, from guns to drugs to women to everything that you could possibly think of. Because these kids only do dealings with people they know and people who look like them, who they can trust. Otherwise, your logic makes no sense. It just doesn't. If you really believe that, just, again, think about it. Have you ever asked one of these kids if they would ever pick up a gun from a white person coming into the neighborhood with a trunkload of them? You think that's how it works? Yeah, good luck with that idea. Go ask them. I bet you never have. Now let's go to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. What's going on, Ken?
Hey, good afternoon. DCF and homeschooling. I just wanted to let you know that I know teachers and school board members, and in order to be homeschooled, they have to file plans with the school district, very detailed plans. So those kids are not being reported absent in the district. So they would never be reported to DCF as absent. And
so are you saying, Ken, if I could, just so I can get an understanding of what you're saying. So you're saying that if a parent has a homeschooled child, that there is a record that sort of coincides with the Board of Education or public school system, that in essence sort of there's a check and balance. So the kid's not marked absent in public school because that kid's accounted for as a homeschool child.
Right. He's not a student in that school district.
Right. Okay. But there's a check and balance that could say, hey, what happened to John Smith? I thought he was enrolled in the school. They're saying, no, he's homeschooled, and these records coincide with that.
Correct.
Okay.
So now the disconnect between DCF and the school district, that's a whole different story, because you got DCF at the state level, you got the school board at the local level, and with the silos in government not talking to each other anyway, that makes it even worse. So if a parent would go to tell DCF, no, my kid's being homeschooled, that's why he's being reported absent, DCF should not be believing that.
Right.
If he's reported absent, he's a student enrolled in the school. He's not being homeschooled.
Exactly, because, again, there is a fail-safe that protects that kid from ever being marked absent because both records coincide. Which, again, you know what makes me crazy about this, Ken, which makes no sense, is, are you telling me that DCF can be hauled off by a parent? Like, think about this. If a parent was doing something absolutely, like, ridiculously nefarious to this child, that the thing that would send DCF packing is, wait a minute, my kid's homeschooled, you get out of here. And DCF goes, don't you know, no problem. That it's over?
No. If that is happening, then that DCF worker should not be working in DCF.
Exactly. I agree. It seems like that, and I would almost see that as an opportunity to say, whew, I got another kid off my caseload. I mean, if it's that easy, every parent can do it.
Yeah. But again, if he's been reported absent from school, they're not homeschooled.
Yeah, indeed. Good point. One should cancel out the other. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that.
Yep.
You got
Have
it.
a good day.
You got it, sir. Let's go to, I'm going to take Tom and Thomason and then Fulton. How are you, Tom?
Hey, I'm well, Reese. Thank you. Reese, I'm sure you, like I, go nuts when, the left calls us fascists and everything like that. So having said that, why in God's name, I probably shouldn't have said that. Why does Heathcliff want all the news organizations to sign a pledge that they're going to let the Pentagon look at the news first?
Yeah,
That's
I didn't.
The essence of fascism.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I don't want to defend it because I can't. I can't defend it, but I am going to play devil's advocate if you'll allow me, because I know I'm going to get hell for doing it because people will say, you're defending him. I'm not. I agree with you 100%. I can't believe that is such a self-own or own goal, as we would say in soccer, it's absolutely unfathomable. He's got to pull back, and he's got to, in essence, he's got to take the egg on his face and move on. But let me tell you why I think he's doing it. And that is because he believes that the Pentagon is leaking to the media, and they want to make sure that classified information isn't going out. But he's going about it the wrong way. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil that they just have to tighten up the ship. That's what he's got to do. He's got to say, listen, if there are people who are leaking, they've got to be held responsible, but it's not something that you can control because people are going to do it. And again, we also have to consider, Pete Hegseth and his office is going to have to consider this. It's the most important thing. No matter what his leadership is, there are going to be people who are not living up to the program that Donald Trump is set or that Pete Hegseth is set. So you got to let that process work its way out, where if somebody is not doing the thing or the agenda of the administration, then a whistleblower can go to the news media if they feel they're not being listened to or they fear retribution. So it's just something, it's a necessary evil, and he can't demand that we put the plug on it. He's just going to have to tighten up the ship. That's his job.
Yeah, he's going after the wrong people. He's got to go after the people in his organization that he thinks are doing wrong.
Exactly. And when they do, he's got to make sure that there is a process of holding that person accountable. If they are leaking classified documents, there can't be this 5-6 year process of getting that person held accountable. This has got to be a zero tolerance, ship that says if you're leaking, especially except for when there's some wrongdoing, but if you are leaking and it is criminal, that you will be made to pay a price. And if you don't want to do this job, you should get out. But unfortunately, it happens, and he's just going to have to deal with it. If he's trying to avoid something that happens in every administration, doing it this way is not the answer.
Yeah, it's such a bad look.
It is. Like I said, it's a self-own on Hegseth's part that, and again, Donald Trump sees him as a smart guy, but this wasn't a smart move. This just wasn't. And I love the fact that every person who's pushed back on it, I'll tell you this is the interesting part, Tom, which I thought was funny, right? So anytime that it's an exaggerated point, the news media will say, conservatives jumped on this such and such, right? Or conservative media, responds to this comment. My favorite part about this story was Fox News admonishes Pete Hegseth, which now says that Fox News gives it credibility because it's one of their own, which I never seem to understand. Usually it's conservatism pounces on it and it's illegitimate. But now that Fox is agreeing with the liberal media, it's like even Fox News says it's wrong. So I thought it was funny.
I heard there was only like one news organization that has agreed to it. Everyone else has said no.
And they're 100% right. Like I said, it's just something, it's a necessary evil. People are going to do it. He just needs to run a tight ship. And he can't have a gimme on this one. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. Good question, by the way. Because I meant to address that, and I'm glad he asked. Let's take another break and get some weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he is in the BPS Traffic Center. How you doing, bud?
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, we're back. It's Reese on the radio. Don't forget to check out ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. You can check out my Substack there, the show, whole bunch of other stuff. We got some pictures from the election night event. Was it election night? I think it was Wednesday before election, or day after election. That's right. That event, there's some photos of some folks out there as well. I want to definitely give a shout out to the good folks over at X. You guys have been promoting the show for me, the People's Lobby. I want to give them a shout out to let them know that I appreciate them. And, of course, Mark in West Hartford, Connecticut GOP, everybody else who just shares the show, because you can watch it on X now, which we do every day. So I want to give them a shout out and thank you guys for showing the show some love out there, and those who do listen and watch on X. What else is there? I don't think there's anything else. When we come back, okay, Nancy Pelosi. I got to talk about that. Got Hollywood news as well. You don't want to miss the Nancy Pelosi thing, and I think I'll go into that first, the Nancy Pelosi thing, because I don't even know how to describe it, but I don't think we've ever seen Nancy Pelosi like I'm about to show you. But who I'd really love to give a shout out to is the reporter, Allison. You have to see this video just for Allison Steinberg. Because what happens after the end of what Nancy Pelosi does, which is it's not even, I don't know if it's out of character. I would have to say that it's somewhat out of character, what Nancy Pelosi did. But it really did, it showed me something about her. And when something is eating at somebody and you poke at it, that thing, they react in a way. You know who they are. They say something, like they say something to you, and it's always been eating at you, and you just immediately like, rah, 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 because you can't avoid it, because it's a real thorn in your side. Well, this reporter, Allison Steinberg from Lindell TV. For those of you who don't know what Lindell TV is, that's the what's his name? Mike Lindell, is that his name? The My Pillow guy? Yeah. He's got his own, I guess, he got his own network, his own news network. And he's got reporters and everything. And he sent this reporter out there to go talk to Nancy Pelosi, and it's not good. So we'll play it on the other side of the break. Also, we'll talk a little bit more about the New Kings protest and what they expect to do in this protest on Saturday. And then I want to talk about these trends. This was something interesting that had to do with the story of Mimi Torres. And it was about custody, because the dad did not have custody of Mimi. And I did some background on the last 30 years of custody battles, moms versus dads. And the numbers, they got better. But you guys decide if they got really good or just par. Stand by for that also coming up in the show. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, sir?
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Now imagine the facts as they have been laid out so far. What we know for certain, it cannot be denied, because we've seen the documents. They're accessible to the public. They have been declassified. Even if they were, it doesn't matter. You can see them and I can see them. And if those documents read that Nancy Pelosi refused the National Guard at the Capitol days before January 6th, it is safe to say that that woman is responsible for them not being there. And we know this because one of her staffers was on Chris Cuomo's show and said that we are always prepared for January 6th on January 4th. She even says on Cuomo's show, I guess I could say this now, we're always prepared on January 4th for January 6th when we go to certify the election. We know that Nancy Pelosi rejected it. We have Nancy Pelosi on tape saying it was her fault. She should have known better. We have her voice. And she wasn't videotaped by some outfit, be it CNN, MSNBC, or Fox. It was her own daughter who filmed her saying it and kept it from the American people until after the January 6th hearings. the big ABC produced nonsense that we were put through. And the fact that Donald Trump has made it clear, and the fact that the evidence has made it clear, you can imagine that if none of what I just said was true, Nancy Pelosi would have never responded like she did when she was asked about it. And she had been asked in the past. But listen to her today as Allison Steinberg of Lindell TV.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Now look at that smile. You can't see this if you're listening on the radio, but you got to watch the video just in case. Just in case you want to see it. That's her, Allison Steinberg. The smile on her face is beaming. She almost got lipstick on her earlobes because she knew she got the piece. She knew she got her to crack. Nancy Pelosi is angered by that because the president didn't send him, and she knows that's a lie. President can't send a damn thing. Not in that case. He sends out the request. Hey, I need you to sign off on this, Muriel Bowser. Hey, Nancy Pelosi, I'd like to make the National Guard available. They all refused.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard?
Now, remember, all of the other questions, nothing. Not a thing. Why did you refuse the National Guard? And instead of just coming back and saying it, she tells her to shut up.
On January 6th.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Oh, it's beautiful when you got them. Especially when she, again, I'm stunned that she responded in that way. Now, I know a lot of people are sitting there thinking, well, what do you expect her to say? Nancy Pelosi, what do you mean, what do I expect her to say? I expected her to be poised. That question shouldn't have rattled her. She's been asked that before. People have made that suggestion. She's been asked on MSNBC, CNN. Why would it make her angry that this person had asked her? She just turned around. She'd ignored her every other time. But that particular thing turned around. Shut up! Whoo! Elected official, huh? That's just weird. Anyway, let's go to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. What's up, Fulton?
What's up, buddy? I want to talk about the newscast about Connecticut. Like, the kids, so we have a 17-year-old killing a 7-year-old in Milford, right?
Yep.
Then we have the mom killing the baby.
Yep.
And then we have a 13-year-old killing a 15-year-old.
Yep.
That got gunned 2 years before. So an 11-year-old had a gun in New Haven. Justin Ellicker don't want to talk about that, right? He doesn't want to.
No, he does.
Right? I mean, he was on the blood of the people that got killed on the main street in the pizza party, right?
Right.
I mean, so, like, where's DCF? Where are the parents? Like, this is atrocious.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. As I was thinking about all of these stories, Fulton, you know what the first thing that came to my mind, and this is going to be bizarre. When I was living in New York City, I lived near Washington Square Park in Judson Hall with my first wife. And I remember a friend of mine that I met he was an exchange student. One guy was from Spain, another one was from Brazil. And I remember him telling me the story about if I ever visited Brazil. Yeah, right, like I would go. He said, if you ever go to Brazil and you're in a tourist attraction, if you see young children, don't mind your pockets if you see a bunch of kids around you. And I looked at him and I said, 12-year-olds? And he said, oh, yeah, absolutely. He said, if you see a bunch of kids, especially if they're just walking around like in mobs, he goes, just guard everything. Make sure your jewelry's not showing. Don't put your wallet in your back pocket. And said, and even that, get as far away from them as you can because they will try to stab you with whatever they've got to rob you. And I said, 12-year-olds? And he was like, yes, 12-year-olds. And I think that's where we are today. I think that the gloves have come off of dealing with these kids in these communities. You know that Craig Fishbein just had a great exchange with one of these women who advocated for 14-year-olds to not be put in handcuffs if they're arrested.
Right, the 13-year-old. He's 13.
Yeah,
So we're gonna
exactly.
put him in handcuffs.
So
That's a good idea.
we have people advocating for these kids not to be put in handcuffs. It is not the Wild Wild West. This is Brazil at this point. Because they refuse to just acknowledge that these kids are becoming, as far as criminal element is concerned, they are getting younger and younger. And as they get younger, they are more brazen.
So, where are the parents? Like, why are they not accountable for anything?
Savages.
Yeah, honestly.
I'm sorry.
No father in the home. It's brutal.
I want to hear somebody say that it's politically incorrect to call the parents of some savage 11-year-old with a gun who just shot another kid.
Animal.
Yeah. How am I not calling them an animal? It's like, oh, that's unfortunate. That's God's children. Yes, and when that kid ends up dead, he's going straight to hell because God wants nothing to do with him.
Right, like a 13-year-old killed a 50-year-old. I want to ask, anybody that advocates for, don't put him in handcuffs, how long should that 13-year-old do now? How long in jail? What's the fair sentence?
Oh, these bozos will do anything and everything.
3 years, 5 years, 20 years, life, death? What do you think?
He'll do juvie. He'll do juvie in some ridiculous facility, and he'll get him out as soon as possible so they can be back with the rest of his savages and go back to doing the same thing over and over again.
Number?
What's that?
When does P. Diddy get out? When do you think?
I think it gets out in, to be honest with you, now that he's sentenced, what is he said, 4 years and 2 months? I think it gets out in 3. I think he'll be.
Okay. He'll be out in July. He'll be out in July.
You think he'll be out in July?
No, I'll tell you why. First-time offender does half his time, right? That's automatic. They take half his sentence away.
Okay.
And then, because it's a drug-related crime in New York, he qualifies for the 500-hour program. That's another year off your sentence. He does 500 hours of drug service. That's 3 years off his sentence right there. I guarantee he's out in July.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that, Fulton. I'm going to hold you to that. July next year.
Look up the Connecticut corrections, with the rules. He's a first-time offender, so that automatically you're 50% of your time. This is New York because that's where he's doing his time is in New York. So, and it is Alvin Bragg. He already has time served. He has like a year in there.
He has a year in.
And
Gosh.
He'll be out in July.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to,
Anybody that testified against him, good luck. Good luck to get pneumonia.
Yeah, you might be right about that one. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right,
now I got to look that up. Now I definitely got to look that up. What's up, Fred?
Hey, I think Fulton's on to something. And my understanding is they only did that to slap him down anyway. I think I said it before.
Sure.
He thought he was bigger than he was. He thought what's his name was his asset.
Yeah.
No. But regarding Nancy, the axiom that comes to mind is he who angers you conquers you.
Yeah.
That chick phrased that question just right and got it in as a 1-inch punch. There were so few words in that. What do you say that you're going to be indicted for the day? And she just got it in. What? Yeah, and that was a takedown.
Yeah, and don't you find it interesting that she reacted in such a angered way to tell the woman shut up and point in her face?
She's getting a little bit older, and they're not used to challenge.
Yeah, that's true.
And I want to refer back to caller Sam a while ago.
Okay,
I think he was going from the specific to the general when he said, once you say homeschooling, DCF, can't do anything, they turned and walked away. I think DCF can kick your door down when you're homeschooling if they want to. They just didn't want to bother. I had that. Some chick was talking about it, Shannon Joy in New York State. It's the same as school. Like kids can report, liquor in their parents' cabinets and get, if your parents are using drugs, the school wants your kids to snitch you out, that kind of thing. All that same paradigm applies when you're homeschooling.
Let me read this, and it says withdrawal notification records, right, on the district level. It says parents must notify the local school district of a child's withdrawal from public school using a standard form. They say the specified reason is because I guess they have what's called an equivalent instruction protocol. This is required under Connecticut General Statute 10184 to comply with compulsory attendance laws, but no prior approval, supported documents, or proof of instruction is needed. The form is typically submitted within 2 weeks of the withdrawal. Now, this is true. In fact, they say that there's no record keeping after the kid is taken out of public school. Like there's no way for anyone to secure that the child is still being homeschooled.
That's only when they're not really homeschooled.
Right.
Real homeschoolers have to jump through mad hoops.
Oh, yeah.
That's just about they don't care. DCF stands for Dead Child Facilitators. They are kidnappers, dude.
And
calling this out. Yeah.
You could no. You were 100%. You used the word correctly. The fact that again, the part that baffles me about the Mimi story is when I heard last night that the grandparents had the child from birth until 7 years old, and you hear these people screaming and hollering about the only home that they've known. This girl gets dragged out from the time she was a baby to 7 years old. They send her back to the mother, and DCF is the reason why. And I'm going, what could have compelled them to say, let's take them out of a home and take the child out of a home in Florida and bring them to this individual?
DCF is evil. They're part of the machine. Let me leave you with a book, The Respondent, some guy who got effed over that way. And there's a thing called churning where they just take every penny you've got. They'll put the kid with the abusive parents. They'll make you hire a lawyer for the kid. And let me close with a nickname for you, Reese the Lionhearted. Yabba dabba doo. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I looked at this. When we come back, I'll talk about this in the 5 o'clock hour. The levels, the numbers have gone up for fathers when it comes to custody cases. But I got to beg the question, is it enough? And this percentage is, and Matty O is in the chat room. Matty, you got the number right. Yeah, you got the number right. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And, of course, we'll come back with some Hollywood news and some other stuff, and then we'll wrap this puppy up. I'm thinking about this. Roland, let me ask you this before we go to break. So I usually do interviews at about 4 o'clock, but I was thinking, most people get into their car to go home at 5. Do you think that's too late to do interviews, or do you think we're good at 4?
We're good at 4.
You think so? Okay, good. It was something that was on my mind, so I figured I'd just, spout off about it and just wonder. Just because. All right, we'll take another break. Let's get some weather and traffic. See how the roads are doing out there with Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, bud.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Well,
the hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, one more hour to go. And, gosh, this day kind of went by fast. Let's see if we can do some Hollywood news with your correspondent, Reese on the radio. All the glitz and all the glamour. It's Hollywood news. Hey, so I wouldn't ever go to see any of these movies, but I will tell you, I'm actually kind of interested in seeing the trailers. When I used to write for a magazine called Next Level, I was the editor-in-chief of a magazine. I just got a hip-hop and pop culture magazine called Next Level. We used to do this little piece in there that I used to do, and I called it Trailer Park. And what I would do is I would give you my review of the movie just by watching the trailer. And that was because my favorite thing, I actually still do it today. I actually go online on YouTube, and they'll do, the action films coming out in 2025, and there's, a whole, bunch of them. And I'll sit there and watch it. And Roseanne will walk in and go, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Movie trailers." She's like, "You do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love that." So these 3 movies, I just want to see what the trailers look like. I don't think I'll ever go see them because they're clearly not made for me. But I'm interested in finding out what Roland thinks of any of these. So one actual character from television is going to get its own movie. 3 of them is going to get their own movies. Let's try this one on for size. Thomas the Train is getting his own movie called Thomas and Friends.
Thomas and Friends. Let's go.
Is that okay? So is that one that your daughter may have watched? Because I kind of feel like these are out of cycle.
She didn't watch a lot of that, but she watched that sometimes.
I kind of feel like that cartoon or whatever it was, that animation was it's out of cycle now. So if it finally getting a movie, it's not going to probably be until 2027. I kind of feel like it's late. Hello Kitty is getting its own movie.
Yeah, that's going to go.
Now, I know that's going to go crazy. There's a lot of grown folks who love Hello Kitty. So she's getting her own. I don't even know if it's a she. Nobody seems to know what sex the kitty is. Whatever. And last but not least, I don't know how this didn't come out sooner, but the Purple Dinosaur is getting his own movie.
Oh.
That's right. I'll get a little bit of I love you, you love me. Barney is getting his own movie. Finally.
Did he have like a...
I thought he had like a couple of DVD films.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
I don't think he had a feature film. So it's about time that Barney gets his own film. So when we come back after weather and traffic, I have the greatest story to tell about my son Caleb and his love of Barney back in 1994. And it's such a heartwarming story. It took me almost 30 years to find a video because nobody believed that it happened. Let's get to Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
I like the Barney with Abe
That's
Vigoda.
right, with Abe Vigoda. Abe Vigoda is still one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh, my God. He was awesome.
You know who kept Abe Vigoda alive?
Who?
Longer than ever? The Beastie Boys. They loved every song. After the first album, License to Ill, they talked about Abe Vigoda all the time.
Oh
and I love the reference to Abe Vigoda because he was fish. He was fish.
He was.
That
was
face,
a great show.
all of it. Still love that guy.
Barney Miller, baby. 70s. Big 70s.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Can we show some Hakeem Jeffries love today? I think he's found a new strategy against MAGA.
But we also need a common sense partner on the other side of the aisle. House Republicans shut the government down. Then they ran out of town. And for the last 3 weeks, they're nowhere to be found.
And I stand here looking like a clown. He is the worst.
You can always get me with a rhyme.
I love it. It's so bad. He's just an awful person. He just is. I wish he wasn't just so corny. I just wish he wasn't just so corny. He's out of his element. You know, he said, he keeps telling people, I'm from Brooklyn, but I got to be honest, I really do believe this. I think that Hakeem Jeffries is struggling. He's struggling to be a poised individual because I kind of feel like there is something he'd rather be doing or behaving like instead of what they make him do. And I think that's what all of the hand gestures are, is that he truly speaks like a kid from Brooklyn, and they're telling him that it doesn't fly because he looks like he's about to drop a hot 16 when he moves, so he's got to distract himself by moving the hands. I really do. I'm just saying. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. I just don't. Someone sent me a text asking about polling data. That's right. I did say that I was going to get some polling data, and this is important polling data. We always get it at the beginning of the week. This time we got it in the middle of the week. Harry Anton wasn't in Monday or Tuesday, but I'm glad he was in because I wanted to get to this. With everyone screaming and hollering about Donald Trump's polling numbers, Donald Trump is not on the ballot come November next year. Now, I know a lot of people think that he is. No, every individual in every individual seat is on the ballot. And this is a hard way to go for Democrats. Their polling data is awful. And Harry Enton is expressing it. Now, Lori always says in the chat room, she's our research aficionado in the chat room. She says it every time I play Harry Enton. Why do they still allow him to be on the air at CNN? He can't be good for them. This is where they kind of do a random act of journalism. That's why he's only there maybe once or twice a week. So listen closely. Democrats' chances in the midterm as they stand today. What Harry Enton did was take the momentum, or what the momentum looked like in 2017 from April of that year until October. He then does it again for April of this year until now. Here's what he found.
You go back to April, Kate Baldwin, what were we looking at? Well, we were looking at the Democrats with a very clear shot of taking control of the U.S. House of Representatives, according to the Kalshi prediction market odds. We saw them at an 83% chance. But those odds have gone plummeting down. Now we're talking about just a 63% chance, while the GOP's chances up like a rocket, up like gold, up from 17% to now a 37% chance. So we'll look like a pretty clear, likely Democratic win in the House come next year. Has become much closer to a toss-up at this point, although still slightly leaning Democratic.
Now, this particular number is different than the numbers he's about to give next, because, again, those have the two different years, 2017 till October, 2017, April till October. But these numbers that he gives are very, very interesting. These are incredibly interesting. So I want you to listen to this again. I'll break it down in a second. Hold on.
You go back to April, Kate Baldwin, what were we looking at? Well, we were looking at the Democrats with a very clear shot of taking control of the U.S. House of Representatives, according to the Kalshi prediction market odds.
Now, he's talking about April of this year. For Democrats, they were at 83%. We're talking a couple of months into the Trump administration. Democrats' chances of winning the House in 2026, very, very early. And many of you on the left were screaming and hollering. It's like, look at them. Democrats are overwhelmingly favorable. And then with all of that, they did everything, right? What did we see? We saw no kings. We saw Tesla attacks. We saw protests every other weekend. We saw ICE, attacks. We saw everything. We thought everything attacked as far as it relates to Trump. We, of course, have the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And, of course, we have political violence in other places and in other ways. Their numbers today stand at 63%. From 83%, they're down. On the other hand, Republicans were at 17% at the same time in April. And they went up 20 points. How could that possibly happen? But it has. And you would suggest, or at least I would, what are all these protests and nonsense going on if Democrat numbers are only going down? That is the wrong direction for everything that you're doing. You heard Chris Murphy. Why this is important.
So just blocks from here in Washington, D.C., on October 18th, there will be the big national No Kings protest. But there's a protest in your town or in your state, too. You can go to nokings.org and find out where the closest event is to you. This is important. Donald Trump is trying to destroy the rule of law, trying to destroy our democracy, trying to stop you from being able to speak freely. But he can't win if we mobilize.
He can't win if we mobilize. And their numbers tanking. Doing the same thing over and over again, numbers still tanking. So now, the momentum from 2017 this time till today.
What's changed? What do you think?
Okay, what has changed? Well, why don't we just take a look at the national picture first? Take a look at voters and how they're feeling about things. And we can take a look at the generic congressional ballot. And I want to take a look and compare it to 2017, 2018, right? Because that's sort of the baseline. That was, of course, the first Trump term. That was where Democrats were sort of keeping pace. You go back to April, look at the generic congressional ballot. What'd you see? You see +3 Democrats in 2025 in April. You see +3 Democrats back in April of 2017.
Now, if the numbers confuse you and having to hear them, you need them explained. 2017, 2025 in April, Democrats +3. Starting at the same place in 2025 they did in 2017, +3. Now, Fast forward to 2017 in October, April to October. Same 2 years, 2017 to 2025. Here's Harry Enton.
Now jump over to this side of the screen. What happens? Well, the Democrats are no longer keeping pace with the pace that they were setting back in 2017, 2018. You look back in 2017, you saw that the Democrats had leaped up to an 8-point advantage.
Now, what is he saying? 2017, they started in April at 3, and by October, they shot up 5 points to an 8. That is momentum building. And why was that happening in 2017 for Democrats? You had all of the Russian collusion nonsense. Everything about the Trump administration was in a disarray. The Republicans didn't trust him. The Democrats were hammering him. They made sure that they were going to impeach him. Everything was like hair on fire. And sure enough, it was resonating with the American people, which, again, we saw that 3-point advantage in April of 2017. By the time October rolled around, skyrocketed to 8, 5 points. 4 months, 5 points. Okay? What's happening in 2025?
I remember covering this. I remember a lot of folks, including myself, saying, you know what, Republicans look pretty decent right now in terms of the fact that they had the House, they had the Senate, they had the presidency, but things were likely going to flip. And I was looking for the same signs this year. The bottom line is it hasn't happened, Kate Paul. When it hasn't happened, Democrats have stayed basically steady. They have fallen off the pace. Democrats were way out ahead back in 2017 on the generic congressional ballot. And now we're basically looking at Democrats ahead. But again, they are so far in back of the pace that they set back there. And so I think what a lot of folks are seeing, folks like myself, are saying, wait a minute, given what we might be seeing in redistricting, is this +3 going to be enough, Kate Baldwin?
So in April of 2025, 0.3. In October, 0.3. No change with everything I just described. No changes. No advantage. Why? And again, as I looked it up, what are the No Kings protest about? Defending democracy against authoritarianism. That was 2024. Rejecting kings and tyranny. It's just symbolic. Just to declare that America has no kings. Amplifying marginalized voices. What else is new there? That's what you always did. It's what you've been doing since the Obama administration. Building sustained resistance. To what? You have no power to do anything. Right now, the government is closed because the Republicans won't negotiate with me, with us. And guess what? It's a free-for-all. It's a damn free-for-all inside Washington. They're cutting stuff. They're spending money. Government seems to be just trotting along. You guys are just staging sit-ins or stand-ins while Hakeem Jeffries is spitting a hot 16. Organizers emphasize a clear and unmistakable message. We're a nation of equals, drawing on inspiration from figures like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to foster hope and a just society. That we're all equals. You're not preaching that message. Your folks are preaching that Republicans or MAGA folks are beneath you. None of this stuff is going to work. It isn't working. And you're going back to, we're holding another No Kings rally? I thought, and I looked at this as I did, saying, wait a minute, what did the last No Kings rally do? According to reports, it was one of the largest events in history as far as protests were concerned. And now you run the risk of fewer people showing up? And you think that this is going to resonate? I don't think so. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm going to watch it. I'm telling you, I wish I was there. I need to commission people. I just wish, I don't want to put anybody out there. I would do it myself if I was there. Oh, I wish it was happening when I was there. Hopefully I'm lucky enough to, they'll throw another one. Maybe this one will be so successful, they'll do it again when I get there. And then I'll be out there just asking questions. And I won't antagonize. I'll just, hey, why are you here? Just Let them go on about their business. I don't know. I'm baffled. But yeah, I don't think it looks good, guys. I don't. But I don't think you guys have an idea anyway. I don't think you guys know what to do. Climate change isn't working for you. Nobody cares about that anymore. The trans issue that you guys are just made to look silly every time you bring that up. You can't go to men and women's sports. That's got no legs anymore. I mean, even Democrats have rejected that. I mean, if you really think about it, the only enthusiastic thing you got going on is the Zoran. That's it. I don't know who else you got. Is there somebody? Is Gavin Newsom still the guy? Oh, Gordon Gekko? Is he still the dude? I hope it is. Maybe it's JB. No, it's not him. Who am I kidding? I know it's not him. Anyway, when we come back and we wrap all of this up, Katie Porter doing damage control. Plus, we'll get to your phone calls as well as we wrap this up. We'll get some more details tomorrow about Mimi's death and if there's been any other reporting that will get us to the bottom of this. I am actually working. I don't know if I'm going to get this, but I'm trying. I don't want to promise anything, but I am going to try to get a hold of Mimi's biological father to see if he'll do an interview. I doubt that he will, but I'm still going to try to get to the bottom of that. So stand by for that. I will give you any details that I have tomorrow after I try today. All right? Your phone call's coming up, and we'll wrap this show up as well when we return. Let's get to Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, sir.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
Yeah, and what had happened was today we opened the show talking about the child, Mimi Torres, of course, at the hands of her mother and her mother's sister, or aunt for that matter, and boyfriend. She lost her life, and all of the details that have come out so far as it relates to the grandparents who raised Mimi from birth till 7 years old and was taken out of their hands by DCF. We broke all of that down. And we also talked about the 98,000 school children chronically absent in the state of Connecticut because people have been reporting that Mimi was homeschooled, even though there doesn't appear to be any records of this to back it up. One of the things I wanted to bring attention to was, as it relates to that part of the story, where Mimi was in the care of her grandparents from the time of her birth until 7 years old, and DCF then took her from them and sent her with her mother. So I was looking at this, and the father is in the picture. And every time he tried to see his daughter, he got told that she didn't want to talk to him and all this other stuff. And then I argued that, when did we become this behavior of 11-year-old kid says, I don't want to see you, and you just kind of took that as, okay. I just found that odd. Maybe there were other circumstances, I don't know. But I want to read this as it pertains to fathers. So I looked this up to find out what was the custody rate for 30 years, for the past 30 years, what the custody rate between mothers and fathers were. In the period between 1994 and 1995, the custody rate for fathers as sole custody was 16%, with mothers getting 84%. In 2008, joint custody at 13%, but usually fathers getting sole custody jumped 2% to 18%. And it went down again between 2013 and 2016 to 17.5%. And then between 22 and 25, it is at 20%, with mothers getting the child at 80%. And it goes without saying that there there's actual fact to back this up, folks. There's actual facts to back this up. That children fare better with their fathers. Statistically. They do. They do. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Tomorrow's program, we have got to do an in-depth look at Ketanji Brown Jackson and the Supreme Court oral arguments that are happening today. If you have been checking them out on X, they are astonishing, just as it relates to Ketanji Brown Jackson. And the thing that I find I'm awestruck by, and I know that there are going to be some people who just don't understand. They're going to listen to her questions now, and I know who they are, the usual suspects. They will listen to her query in this case about the Voters' Rights Act, and they will look at it and they go, I don't see the problem. And I'm going to have to explain this to them. Like the fact that they would look at it and go, what you do? Is why I'm going to have to explain it. Because that's how bad it has gotten with Ketanji Brown Jackson. This woman, and it's, I got to tell you, this is the truth. And the only reason why I know this, I can't believe I'm saying this. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. But I have to do it. And I'll talk about it a little more tomorrow with evidence. Okay. So the Supreme Court justices, you may have heard recently that Amy Coney Barrett has kind of like been scathing towards Ketanji Brown Jackson. That's not even the surface. Like, it's not that deep. Even the liberal justices are looking around going, how in the hell did she get through law school? Sotomayor is baffled. And she's a wise Latina. I mean, there are people who are saying some god-awful stuff about this, and it's really, really bad. And it's all legitimate. It's not like a bunch of people just razzing the dumb girl at school. Like, I want to borrow a statement, a line from John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana. I forgot how he put it, but she is giving blonde jokes a run for their money. This woman is dumb. There's no other way to put it. Her colleagues are saying that in so much. They are saying this is a dumb person who does not understand the law and makes arguments that are absolutely unreal. And she's arguing with counsel. Sounding even the people like, and they're trying to be respectful. If you listen to some of this audio, it's crazy the way that they're responding. It's like, they can't believe it. They're walking out there going, is she real? If I may, Ketanji Brown Jackson said something out loud that I said 3 years ago as a joke. I had a logo that I created. And I've said this, and those of you who know the show, who listen to it for years, know that I've said it, is that liberals and the intelligentsia, especially the black intelligentsia in this country, treat black people like they are special needs children. Well, lo and behold, Ketanji Brown Jackson actually made a case that said that black people are like disabled people who cannot get access to a building. Her mouth, not mine. I said it as a joke. She really believes that to be true. That blacks are disabled people. I don't know what to tell you. And that's why I know that people are going to read that, and people are going to read what she said or listen to what she said and go, I don't see the problem here. Craig says the Kennedy quote was, women like that are why they put instructions on shampoo bottles. That's a good one, too. That's actually pretty bad. That is pretty bad. Let me go to Ralph. What's going on, buddy?
Good afternoon. Couple things. That poor 12-year-old who was killed.
Yeah.
Why? Please explain this to me because I really have a hard time understanding this. Why would President Biden issue a pardon to a drug dealer in Connecticut who killed a woman who was going to testify against him and her son and got a pardon that was okayed by Murphy, Blumenthal, and the other 5 congressional representatives in Connecticut?
I don't think Biden had anything to do with that. And, I talked about that story. I didn't even know it, but my former boss, Joe Schoen, wrote a great piece about her after her passing. He wrote this great piece in the U-Haul sort of like monthly reader because she was a U-Haul employee, and he wrote such a beautiful article about her that I found. And, yeah, it was just awful for them to do that. Talk about an undeserving pardon for a guy. I mean, what do you have to do in order to be looked over for a pardon under that Biden administration? It was insane. Anyway, what else you got real quick?
Well, who put his name up there? Real quick, I want you to ask every senator and congressman in Connecticut where they want to get the money to pay for the $1.5 trillion, what taxes they want to increase to pay for it.
Yeah, I hear you, boss. Thank you, man. I hear you. Thanks, boss. Joe, Wall Street, what's going on, sir? And by the way, yesterday you said breaking news. As soon as I saw the report, I just went, why? What do you mean breaking news? This story's a month old. The news media is just catching up to the bounty story.
Yeah, but this came after the boat was blown up yesterday morning.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they kind of.
It was a brand new warning because of that incident.
Yeah, and I checked out the cartel, by the way. I was looking up the cartel that made the statement. I'm sitting up here going, like, who is their PR guy? Like, who's their press guy? Did they really contact the media and say, hey, we'll put a bounty on someone? I'm going, okay. It's really weird. Anyway, what do you got for me?
Well, I told you how that deal with Gaza is going to fall apart because the dead aren't going to be returned for whatever reason.
We're still getting dead bodies today. What are you talking about?
Well, they substituted a body that wasn't an Israeli.
Yeah, one body was wrong. Yeah, that wasn't even an Israeli prisoner that they swapped. But I don't understand why nobody believes me. You guys got to listen to me. I said this. This is not that campaign to return dead bodies. That's not going to go the way that you return live ones. It just isn't. And that's the reason. Look, Hezbollah and Hamas, they put themselves in that pickle. So they've got to deal with it. You know, you kill those hostages while they're in custody and you leave them there and forget about them. Not like not that these people would ever put a marker on there that's in the middle of a war. These people do not have the ability to go back and retrace their steps to go find the dead hostages. It's never going to happen. And I don't think that, I want to say this, I don't think that Israel should give them a pass, but nor should I hold them to a standard that they're going to be able to fulfill that request in a meaningful way. They may be able to recover some, but I don't think they're going to recover all.
Well, they'll have to play out, but I don't think they're going to wait too much longer before something goes.
They're going to have to make some concessions, and I think because, and I do believe this, if they cannot recover those bodies, and if Donald Trump sticks to his word, which I believe he will definitely unleash the hounds. So I think they're going to make another concession because they can't do it. They're going to either ask for more time or they are going to seriously and in a meaningful way lay down their arms because I don't think they want what's coming. Because I think really Donald Trump has made it clear, I'm just going to unleash this guy, Netanyahu. And Netanyahu, he doesn't want a pound of flesh. He wants a ton. He wants a ton. And that's why. Good.
Speaking of Donald Trump, came out this week in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of our country. The U.S. Mint announced they're going to come out with a commemorative silver dollar with Donald Trump is on the head. You know, the last time they did a dollar commemorative was Eisenhower, the Ike dollar.
Was it? I thought it was Kennedy. Oh no, that was the $50.
Yeah, the $50, and that's still in mintage since 1964.
Yeah.
but the Ike dollar ran from 71 because Eisenhower died, I believe it was late 69. So they came out in 71 with the Ike dollar, and that ran through 1978. Now you're going to have the Trump dollar, which is going to start next year, 2026.
I think that's going to be cool.
I think, it's going to be very popular. Just like the Kennedy half dollar, you couldn't get them. I lived back then. When they came out in 1964, people were at the banks. Where are they? Where are they? They're being scooped up by the hundreds. And they ran, an extra mintage of over 300 million into 1965 with the date 1964 because they were in such high demand. And I think the same thing will be with the Trump dollar.
It was still popular in the 80s when I was growing up, man. I remember I knew a lot of kids that collected them. They got a hold of them. They kept them. That people love that coin. This one will be a collector's item without a doubt. I guarantee it.
Because of inflation, $20 bill isn't what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bring back 1959. They stopped the $500 bill and the $1,000 bill. They used to be used for home closings and, big deals, but money was worth a lot more back in 1959. Well, they're going to bring back the $500 and the $1,000 bill, and the rumor is Trump's going to probably be on the $1,000 bill instead of McKinley. William McKinley.
They'll fight. You know what? Turning that into a war that's a fight I don't even want to have. That seems almost ridiculous, but I hope they don't do that. That's kind of going to be silly. Anyway, thank you, Joe. Got to get up out of here, buddy. Tomorrow, like I said, Ketanji Brown Jackson, we'll talk about that. Any other breaking news on the Mimi Torres story, we'll have that for you as well. Tomorrow's Thursday, so of course we'll have Negro Nonsense and much, much more throughout the day. I didn't get to the matriarchy today because there was so much stuff to sort of break down as it goes to this Torres story. I'll do it tomorrow. And the question is this. And did we go so far to marginalize men to sort of relinquish our position in the world to prop up and to promote women as leaders, that it is hurting children and the direction of this country? Because I almost feel like in giving women control in the way that, intelligentsia, the academia, and all of that, that the only thing they've been promoting is the destruction of the family and of the children. What do I mean by that? And I'm telling you, it's one of the two big things that are on the agenda for families and children. It's one, to not have them, and two, to abort them. And if it's not those two, it's to introduce what can only be described as sick, perverted, paraphernalia in the schools. It is insane that in this, by saying that, we're supposed to listen to women and believe women and let them be in charge and all of that stuff. And the stuff that they're promoting is detrimental to the core fabric of who we are. And I'm not saying all women. I'm not. I know that there are women out there who are, the you go girls, more power to you. But I think that everybody has to come to terms that this is so rough to say. For things to be somewhat traditional is not the same thing as subjugation. That's not what anyone is talking about. It's not like the farthest extreme of things. People look at June Cleaver like the most deplorable thing ever. She's fictional. There is no June Cleaver. But the idea of it is not bad either. If a woman wanted to be Susie Homemaker and she loved what she did, providing for her family, those things, why does that have to be maligned? Why do women, you can reject it, women, and go your own way, but why does it have to be rejected for everyone? Just like in the stupidest thing I read today, this writer who can't be more than 30 years old says in the article, I thought we had decided that this, idea of women was rejected. I thought we all decided. We didn't. And we all didn't decide. that mom stayed home or didn't stay home and went out in the workforce. We didn't all decide that. It was not a collective. The things you're talking about, the things that happened in the 50s and 60s and moved on to the 70s, all of these things were forced upon us. And if we didn't agree, we were maligned and we were shouted down and we were called all types of names for not going along to get along. There was no consent. God, you people scream about me too. And you guys like ideologically attack us, assault us for not agreeing with you. It's never with our consent. So, 92% of bills test positive for coke. Confirmed, Boris writes. I don't even know what that was. So insane. All right, as I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night and pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Mark Christopher's getting you home. He's got the BPS Traffic Center road thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, like this update thing that we do.
There we go.
Hey, Reese, have a great night.
You too, man.
Hey, we do have an accident 84 eastbound in Farmington between exit
All right.
7.
Sir.
The right and center lanes
See
are
ya
blocked there. Stay
mañana.
left. The
Thursday.
Yeah,
Six
almost
later
over. Damn, these
behind
weeks
that.
are going
Once
by
you get
too
around that,
fast.
you're slow.
Hey, when you get here in person, maybe you'll feel a little different.
Yeah, it may slow
Delayed.
down a
Westbound
little bit.
84 is a little
Hopefully.
tight. Bulkley Bridge out to
I'll
45
talk to
Flatbush
ya.
Avenue.
Yes, sir.
All sides of 91 moving well now. Cromwell up into Windsor Locks. 291 through 84. Okay, 2 eastbound moving well. Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 southbound's a little slow.
All right, everybody. Counterfeiting and drug trafficking. Why big bills not use? Oh, okay. Didn't know that. I did not know that. They also had $100,000 bills for bank use and got rid of the large bill because of drug trafficking. I am told, but never confirmed. Oh, okay. Thank you, Boris. I appreciate that. And good to see you, buddy. I didn't see you during the whole show. All right, you guys be good to each other. It is time for me to get up out of here. I got to take another trip to the Home Depot and get more stuff for this move. So I will see you mañana. Y'all take care of each other. Be good.